Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to This Is Me Attitude podcast, where it's all about helping you start or grow your relationship with the Lord. I'm your host, Rachel Nelson, a Christ follower who has learned time and time again, following the Lord isn't always easy, but it's always worth it. Join me and my guests as we talk about our own relationships with the Lord in every area of life, including entrepreneurship, motherhood, prayer life, and more. My goal is you will learn something new to implement in your own relationship with the Lord and leave here saying, "This is me, a uniquely created, loved daughter of God." Are you a business owner? Do you know the importance of an email list? Are you currently on the This Is Me Attitude podcast email list and love getting them weekly? Being the one that sends them out, I truly hope you find value in each and every one, just like finding value in each and every one of these episodes. If you're ready to create your own email list in an easy format with multiple features, the ability to send unlimited amounts of emails, and more, AWeber Email is for you. I have an affiliate link you can find in today's show notes. Having an email list has helped me to connect with so many more listeners, and AWeber makes it simple with safe templates and more. Click the link below and get started in building your email list today. Welcome back to This Is Me Attitude podcast, and yes, this is another solo episode, and yes, I'm recording this at a way later time in the day than I usually do, so if my words start to mumble or start to say weird things, I'm going to try my best not to, because I am very much in the season of being a new mom, and very much in the season of trying to balance things, and very much in the season of not giving myself the greatest grace. And I'm going to be completely 100% open and honest with you here on the podcast, because that is one of the reasons why I started podcasting, is to be open and honest and to pull back the curtain and say that my life isn't perfect all of the time, and that God is still with us, that He still loves us regardless of how perfect it looks on the outside, and that He does want us to give ourselves grace because He gives us grace. And to take a deep breath, because we don't always have all of the words to say. That is one of the biggest things that I've learned in this new season of life, is that you're not always going to have the thoughts right. You're not always going to have every aspect right. And God is really with me as I'm talking about this, because this is now the third or fourth time that I've tried to record and tried to sound perfect. And He's very much reminded me that that's just not how life goes. You're not always going to sound fantastic and fabulous. That there's bumps, there's turns, there's twists, there's ands, there's ums. And welcome to podcasting. Welcome to This Is Me Attitude podcast. If this is your first episode with me, hang in there, and we're going to get through it. Thank you for listening. I'm so excited that you're here. Today is a very exciting episode for me as well, because I am going to announce something pretty big. But before I do that, I want to go back and talk about faith over fear and why I titled this episode that, because I was reminded this weekend to have faith over fear. And if you're not new around here, you could be on my email list, which I just launched a new newsletter this last week that's called Faith Over Fear. And also, if you're not new around here and have been around for a while, you know that I talk all about faith and growing your relationship with the Lord, and that is all about having faith in Him. And who would I be to come on here each and every week to say, go have faith, and to go tell you to have faith without me having faith in God and to step out and to do what He is calling me to do? Which, if I'm being completely honest, I have been nervous to do so, because He has been telling me the next step in being an entrepreneur for a while, and I have been trying to perfect it in my humanness, if I'm being completely open and honest again. And this last weekend, in the sermon that I listened to at my church, God made it very evident that the next step in being an entrepreneur is, drumroll please, becoming a life coach and bringing in new clients. That is right. This is the first time that I'm announcing publicly that I am opening up bringing in clients as a new life coach. And what that means is I am looking to work with women that are sick of not running with faith over fear. And what I mean by that is sick of getting in their own way, that they know that God has created them to do more. They know that God has created them to be bigger and to be more excited for their life and to really focus on mindset. I have had my own struggles with my mindset, and God has really brought me out of a lot. And He's made it very, very clear in being a podcaster that I like talking to people, and specifically I like talking to women about their stories and about how God has done so much in their life. And this is another aspect to be able to do that and to be able to share faith at a bigger level, to be able to help women process through what they've gone through and to move forward and to really showcase what God has created them to do and to be able to encourage them. And that is what I want to be able to do for my new clients. And if that's you, I would absolutely love to work with you and talk to you to see if this is a good fit. I will have a form below this episode that you can fill out just to get a little bit more info from you, and then I will be reaching out. This episode also, I did take some notes, but I am speaking from the heart, so I'm hoping that I get all of the words out, but I'm very excited to be able to, one, fully obey the Lord, because one of the things that was said in the sermon that I listened to this weekend is delayed obedience is really disobedience. So the reason that I am bringing this to the podcast is, one, I want to get the word out there that I am starting to bring clients in to be a coach and to really encourage women to step out and to focus on their calling. If I can help and be a part of that, that is fabulous. That is fantastic, because I want the eyes to continue to go towards the Lord and to continue to stay on Him. And also the second biggest reason I wanted to have this on this episode is, if you don't think you want to work with me, fantastic, great, that's totally fine. I understand I'm not everyone's cup of tea. But who, like I said before, who would I be to come on here each and every week in these episodes and say, God is great, you should go follow Him, you should have a relationship with Him, and then not to actually step out in faith and do it? So this is me stepping out in faith with not fully being 100% ready to bring in clients, because, like I mentioned, I'm in a brand new season of life. I'm a brand new mom to a newborn. And now God is telling me to step forward in this. I don't know exactly how it's going to look. I don't know exactly how the time schedule is going to be. And that, you might be thinking, well, if you're going to bring new clients in, why would you be open and honest about that to your potential new clients of, you don't know exactly how it's going to be? Because I trust in the Lord. I know that if He's telling me to do something, I need to step out in obedience and in faith and do that. So again, if that is you listening to this and you're like, yes, I've been wanting to work with somebody, fantastic, I would love to talk to you about that. If that is, oh my goodness, yes, Rachel, I know that God is calling me to do something, and you telling me what He's called you to do really makes me realize that I need to do what He's called me to do. Yes, fantastic, I want to encourage you, go do that. Or if that is you needing to go pray and really see what God is calling you to do in that season, I want to encourage you to do that as well. So with all of those being said, I hope that this has been encouraging in that first part, in just this overall episode so far, because that is another really big goal. I shouldn't say that. The number one goal of the podcast is always to bring you closer to the Lord and to help you grow in your relationship with the Lord. But as you can see, it's me growing as well. I never intended for this podcast to look all shiny and perfect, because I'm not shiny and perfect, and having a relationship with the Lord and growing with the Lord, it doesn't always look shiny and perfect on the outside. It looks bumpy. It looks up and down. I mean, go read the Bible. None of the people in the Bible have a shiny exterior look. If I could spit words out to you today, that would be great. And that is totally okay. God doesn't tell us that we have to have everything shiny and perfect and all the things to be obedient to Him. He tells us to listen to Him. He tells us to be obedient because He has the ultimate plan. And as I'm speaking to you about this, He is reminding me that it doesn't have to be perfect. That in my case, in this new season of being a mother, as I record this episode, my son is sleeping in the other room. Our apartment, in my opinion, looks like a hot mess after a full day of being with him and then trying to do other things on top of it. But that's okay. That's just part of where I'm at in the season. So for you, if that is starting a new business, maybe you didn't get to all of your emails that you wanted to today. Or maybe it is almost 10 o'clock at night and you're recording a podcast episode. Oh, wait, that's what I'm doing right now. Just because that's where we're at. And that's okay. It doesn't have to look perfect. It doesn't have to be all of the things of what our society sometimes puts on us of, oh my gosh, you have to do this, 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 and this. No, you don't. If God's not calling you to do all of the things, don't do all of the things. Go back, pray, and listen to what He's actually calling you to do. And have the faith over fear, because God does not call us to be fearful. He tells us not to be afraid. It is said not be, in some fashion or way, it is said to not be afraid in the Bible 365 times. And there's a reason that it's that many times, because there's 365 days in a year. So again, the big announcement is I am officially launching and having clients for coaching. And what you can expect to see in that, and the clients that I'm looking for, is women that are ready to grow in their relationship with the Lord, ready to have someone encourage them to do that and to really listen to what God has for their life. And maybe they know that God has created them to do something bigger and more exciting with their life, or more intent, and they're just not sure where that is. I would love to be able to help you and pray with you and go through the different things that I've gone through that I know will be beneficial for that. And another aspect is mindset. I have had my own journey in having a more biblical mindset and relying more on the Lord, and I want to be able to bring women through what I've worked through and what I've been able to do in having the relationship with the Lord. And I say I really haven't done any of it. It's really been the Lord and me just being obedient. It goes back to that. So again, I'm excited for this new chapter. I'm excited to see who God puts in my path to work with. If that's you, I would love to have a conversation with you. Please fill out the form below this episode and I will get in contact with you. Again, I don't know how this is going to look. I don't know the ins and outs and all of the things yet, but I do know that it's time to bring clients in. It's time to encourage people, and it's time to see where this goes and where God takes us in this new chapter of life. And I have a feeling I'm not only talking to myself when I say a new chapter of life. So if you're going into a new chapter, I just want to remind you to rely on the Lord and to have faith over fear. Also, if you're not a part of the email newsletter, there's a link below for that as well. I would love to be in your inbox every single week. There is going to be a newsletter out every single Friday morning that will have the link to the 2 episodes for the podcast of the week. It'll have different insights of things that are going on in the podcast life, of sponsors, of different guest appearances that I've been at on different podcasts, of what God has been teaching me throughout that week, scripture, and more. So I'm excited to connect with you in the email box as well. And I think that's everything I have for today's episode. So again, I'm so excited for this huge announcement, and I'm very excited to see what God is doing in your life. And I just want to encourage you to be obedient right now, because delayed obedience is really disobedience. And just like that, we're at the end of another amazing episode. I first want to say a huge thank you to you, the listener, for tuning in and listening to what we have to say here on This Is Me Attitude podcast. I also want to say a huge thank you to each and every guest speaker that I've had on the show, that will be on the show, and to see this show really, really grow. I am beyond thankful about how many different amazing connections I've been able to have through this podcast, and each and every story has been absolutely amazing. So a huge thank you to all of the guest speakers. Also, the more we share this show, the more we share God's stories, the more people hear about it, and the more this gets out. If there's anything in today's episode that really stuck out to you, please go share it with a friend and tag us over on Instagram at This Is Me Attitude Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe to the email list. This is the spot that you want to be. This is where I share all of the information of the podcast and anything else that could be added in the near future. I also give a free gift to each and every new subscriber. Lastly, if you have any prayer requests, I would absolutely love to pray for you. There is a Google form in the description below where you can throw your prayer requests in. Also, there is nothing that is attached to the name of the person giving the prayer request, so I will have no idea who I'm praying for, and the only person that hears these prayers is God himself. And that wraps up another great conversation. So until next time, never, ever, ever forget, God loves you.